Hey folks, doing tonight, Hero of None here, going over news, Golden Merchant, and Luxury Merchant stuff in ESO. We have a lot of news today, so we're going to start off going over Luxury Merchant and Golden Merchant stuff, and then get into the news. So, first off, taking a look at the Luxury Merchant, we have Reichling stuff, again. Kind of interesting items here. We got a Bonfire, Ceremonial Brazier, doesn't seem to want to be lit or not lit. Reichling Grinding Stone and Reichling Tanning Rack stretched. Now on the Golden Merchant tonight, we have all the PvP jewelry sets that you could ever want. So currently we have Afflicted, Elysian, Curse Eating, Deadly Ring, Eagle Eye Ring, Ebon, Lecky, Marksman Ring, Ravaging Ring, Ring of Amalexia's Mercy, Alteration Mastery, Ring of Ancient Grace, Beckoning Steel, Cyrodiil's Crest, Cyrodiil's Light, Cyrodiil's Ward, Elfbane, Basal's Guile, Fury, Imperium Wrath, Kind's Kiss, Archmage, Desert Rose, Hawkeyes, Heartland, Juggernaut, Morlang Tong, Proletariats, Sentry, Shadowwalker, Swift, Valiant, Transmutation, Vengeance, and Vicious Death. On my recommendations, take a look at last week. I gave a breakdown on almost all of these here, but ones you probably want to take a look at is Vicious Death, Transmutation, Morlang Tong, Ravager, and depending on what else you want to do, you could go with Fury or Basal's Guile too. So take a look at all those inside PvP land. Now, we're going to get into the news. Now, if you weren't here last Tuesday on the 15th, we had a big announcement, and it is now Season of the Dragon. That means that we're having a new chapter in ESO coming out and a year-long story going on. You can look at the trailer and live show now on YouTube and on Twitch. So first coming up is new dungeons. First two dungeons are going to be Dwemer Ruins and a Temple of Meridia, where we're trying to get something called Wraith Stones, which is the next DLC. These are going to lead up into the next chapter. So you can see here some of the new areas. In addition to that, we're also going to get some new UI changes. First is Guild Finder, where you're going to be able to find guilds. Next is Guild Trader updates, which will allow people to filter better on some of the guild stuff. Zone Helper, so you can see what achievements are still left inside certain zones. And we also have PvP updates, where there's now going to be PvP artifacts dropped throughout Cyrodiil, which will buff up people and give them unique lines or unique skill lines that they can work with. Now, the most exciting thing, I think most people around here, is the next class that's going to be coming into the chapter, which is Necromancy. Currently, there are 3 trees that have been given some names, but it's not set in stone, so some of these may change when it actually comes out. But the first is Soul Mending, which is supposed to be healer line. Elementalist, which is going to be more of a damage line, it seems. And Bone Armor, which is going to be much more of a tanking line. On top of it, Bone Armor also has an ultimate, which is the Bone Colossus, aka Bone Daddy, which everyone can transform into as part of the Bone Armor line. Now, the other big announcement is the chapter and what comes with the chapter, and that is Elsewhere, along with dragons. Yes, dragons are now returning into Tamriel. They have been asleep for hundreds of thousands of years, and now they are back in Tamriel to wreak havoc upon everything. And for some reason, they're attacking Elsewhere, and we're gonna have to go in there, see what's going on, as well as deal with a necromantic imperial threat that's also encroaching on there. As part of that chapter, we're also gonna have a new trial. Oh, Apologize, that was not actually stretched out that much, but anyways. New trial involving dragons as well, called Sunspire. And new Khajiit, the Alfiq, which are actually looking like house cats, but they're actually super intelligent and have a lot of magic to them. On top of that, you're also going to have Admiral Flarin and Sir Cadwell returning. So that's all going to be coming up in the year here. Quarter 3 and quarter 4 have not been announced yet, but we will see a trailer come on E3 on June 11th after the chapter releases here, which will continue the current trailer that you can see on YouTube on the Bethesda channel. Now, in additional news, Eric Roble has left ZOS, and Brian Wheeler will now be taking over his position as lead combat designer in a new unit that's going to be combining PvE and PvP. Interested to see what's going to happen with that. I wish Eric Roble and Brian Wheeler both the best of luck, and it'd be interesting to see what's going to come in the next year as a result of that. Racial passives are also being changed. A preview is up on the forum, but it is subject to change. Most of the changes will make resources a flat value instead of percentages. That's one of the major changes right now. But that's not set in stone. Wait to see what happens on PTS and balancing as things go along. Also, one race change token has been offered, but it's not going to be changing all the races that you have. So wait a little bit to see if you have to min-max something else with that, and you may have to pay for more racial change. You may have to pay for race change tokens if it's really that big a deal to you. But most of these things should be putting things a little bit more in line, so you won't have to min-max as much. But again, we'll see what happens with that when it comes on PTS. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, PTS is going to be next week. It's going to start on Monday if you want to get on that. As for the actual DLC, usually that comes about February after a few weeks of testing in the PTS. Now, another interesting thing with this DLC, there is no CP increase with this DLC, and there will be no CP increase for the foreseeable future until they reevaluate the system. It seems that some of the developers in ZOS realize that there's an issue with the constant creep of CP, and they're holding back to see if they can come up with something a little bit more viable at this point. Now, to squash a few other rumors that were also handled inside the live show, Elsewhere is not a Dragon Break, which is previously rumored. The tablet that most people got here, showing a split in half tablet, is actually a Wraithstone, which is what the first two dungeons will be handling. You have to get one side of the tablet from each, which will open up the story into Elsewhere later in the year. Spellcrafting is currently not on the roadmap. That's another rumor that came up as part of that tablet. And no class or faction change tokens are on the horizon at this time. Anyway, I'm Hero of None. This has been the Mundus Minute. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all in Tamriel.